Assalamu alaikum. Good day to you all. Today we are going to start phase 3, which is software and operating systems. So today we are on the topic 7, which is software fundamentals. So basically today we are going to just overview everything so that on Wednesday and Friday we will dive little deep into the remaining parts. But by just briefly explaining these fundamentals, I will surely think that we will all get the fundamentals. So the first thing we need to understand is software. When we say software, it's simply instruction that tell the computer what to do. Without software, hardware is just useless box. Example, our phones without apps. We know that our phones without apps are useless. Or let's say our laptops without Windows operating system or Linux or Mac OS. They are just useless without their operating systems. And basically, these operating systems are all softwares. So the first thing we have to consider is the division of software. What I mean is the categories that software are divided. Number 1, we have system software. System software is, let's say, the boss of computer. It controls the hardware and make sure everything works properly. For example, we have operating system. So before we proceed, the main reason that I did this as a video record is to just overview everything and show you how the things differ from each other. That's why I try to use my computer to record everything. So based on system software that we see is the software that control everything on our computer. Let's just take for example as our operating systems. I know many of us are running Windows, but some are running Linux, while others maybe Mac OS and maybe from our phones, Android OS and others, iPhones. So what system software does, as in like what are the main goals for these system software, since they are the ones that manage all our computer hardware. So the goal of this system software is to start the computer, or to control CPU, RAM, storage, or to allow you to install and run apps, or to manage files and folders. So what we have to take note of about system software is that without these system softwares, no other software can be run. For example, we know that we have let's say operating system, and without operating system we cannot even start our computer. And if we cannot start our computer, we don't have the goal of installing other other softwares. So these are the main reasons that we must have system software in order to install other softwares. So what are the other softwares that we need to talk about? These are application software. So what is application software? Application software is what users use directly to work. For example, our WhatsApp. We use WhatsApp every day to chat, but WhatsApp is not necessarily that we must need it in our devices. We can use our devices even if we didn't have WhatsApp. So these devices that we don't necessarily need, we only use them as in our daily usage in order to accomplish some tasks. These are application softwares. For example, in our computers, we use Microsoft Word. These are all examples of application software. These are our browsers like Chrome, Firefox, or calculators, or even games. They are all application software because they are not the mandatory softwares that interact with our hardwares. They are the softwares that we utilize in order to achieve some daily goals. So there is a simple rule that I want us all to apply, which will make this very clear. When we say system software, you can just take it as softwares that runs the computer, while application softwares are the softwares that help you do some tasks. So the third category that we need to talk about is utility software. Utility software help us to maintain, protect, and optimize the computer. Think of it as computer maintenance tools. Example like our antivirus, disk cleaning tools, backup softwares, file compression like zip or WinRAR that we usually use in our Windows. So what are the goals of these utility softwares? These utility softwares, their goal is to protect systems from viruses, clean junks, improve performance, help recover lost data. So after talking about all this, there is next category that we need to talk about when it comes to software. In software, there are some softwares that are open source softwares, while there are other softwares that are proprietary softwares. When we say softwares that are open source or proprietary, this is the most important part that we must understand in this our field of IT, because understanding this will give you the chance of dipping into maybe one of the field you think interests you. For instance, open source softwares. These are the softwares that their code is open. When we say their code is open, I mean anyone can see, modify, or share it. Mostly it is free. Example, like Linux operating system, Firefox, LibreOffice, and so on. But why, or let's see, what are the advantages of these softwares to be free? The advantages of these softwares is to allow transparent community support, very common in cybersecurity, and most importantly, they are free. And we know anything that is free, it is worth using. So what are the proprietary software? Which means softwares that are owned by company or by some individuals, and their source code is closed. Usually you must pay for it before you use it. Example like Windows, Microsoft Office, Adobe Photoshop, CorelDRAW, etc. But what are the disadvantages of proprietary softwares? Proprietary softwares have limited freedom and also license restriction, cost of money, etc. So in summary, system softwares control hardwares, application software used by users, utility softwares maintain and protect systems, open source are free, open, and modifiable, while proprietary softwares are closed, owned by some companies or individuals, and usually you have to pay for it before you use it. So I want to walk us through some these examples that I just explained. For instance, now this is a Parrot OS that I'm running on my computer. So this operating system, we know based on my explanation that we need it in order to run other tasks or to accomplish our daily activities. But for instance, this is LibreOffice, which is alternative for Microsoft Office. And even if I didn't have this application or software, my system will run correctly. And still the same thing. This is IDE for writing Java programs. And even if I didn't have this IDE, my system will run correctly. So these softwares fall under application software, because even if I didn't have them, I can run my computer without any issue. So for instance, this is operating system. This my operating system. If I didn't have it, I cannot run this computer, because it is the source that helped me to manage all my programs. And for instance, let me switch to my virtual machine in order to show you Windows, so that I can talk about this proprietary softwares that I talk about. If you observe in Windows, there is activation key that usually pop up around here. So because I remove my own, that's why it is not showing now. But if your Windows, like you didn't purchase the OS or you did not have the activation key, there is a warning sign that is showing here, because you didn't buy it and they want you to buy it before you start using it. And for instance, in Windows, there are many softwares inside Microsoft Office too that we cannot use directly without purchasing them, which is different from normal, which is different from normal um Linux OS that you can just use directly without purchasing. For instance, here I log into my Kali Linux. Here are the softwares which I can use many of them without purchasing, but in Windows, many of the softwares are not free. I have to use them. So these are the things you have to consider when choosing the kind of OS you have to adapt with. Even though I am just walking you through the overview of this, but as time goes on, we will come to the stage where we will try to walk through the workshop of practical usage of all these operating system and how to utilize anyone that suits you for your own need. So that's it for today's lecture. I hope it is all clear for us. Thank you, everyone.